Okay, folks. Hi, and welcome to this month's Companion Connection webinar. I think this might be a little bit of a different format than you're used to, but we wanted to try and do it in a webinar format so you could actually see the visual or listen in or do both. So we want to make sure that everybody can hear me. So the first thing I want you to do is look at your little dashboard that you have in front of you, and if you can hear me, I want you to raise your hand. There should be a little place where you can raise your hand. Yay, everybody can hear me. Awesome. I'm going to try to talk loud, and if you have any troubles, just let me know. One thing that I will tell you, let's see here. One person says they are not hearing the audio. If you're connected, you should be able to hear the audio if you've dialed in. So with that, I want to let you know a couple of housekeeping items. Number one, your lines are all muted. So I cannot hear you, but you can hear me. And because we had quite a few people register for this, what we're going to do is at the end of the webinar, I'm going to take questions. And the way you ask a question, because there's so many people involved and there is so much noise, if we unmuted all the lines, what we're going to do is just have you type in your questions, and actually you don't even have to wait till the end. I will take questions on a first-come, first-served basis when I get done doing the presentation. So you can type in a question anytime. There's a little questions pane on your dashboard, and you can type in a question there anytime, but I won't take questions until the end. So having said that, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to make sure I can see. Let's see, view questions. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to talk about marketing home care, print, radio, and TV advertising, and we're going to talk about internet and networking too, but we're going to talk about getting it right for increased lead conversion. And the reason we're doing this program today is because David and Linda and the folks there wanted me to talk about something that would have more of an immediate result as far as lead generation, because you all need your phone to ring, you need leads, you need them now, and I understand that. And every business owner would probably say the same thing, and if you're new to the home care market, you want to get this business off the ground and you need leads, leads, leads. So what do you do to make that happen? So even though we're going to talk about marketing home care from the print, radio, TV, networking, internet marketing, we're going to talk about all those things. The basis of our discussion today is going to be how to make the phone ring in your office. So everything I tell you is the end result is to get your phone ringing as fast as possible. So just keep that in mind as we go through. And if you have any questions, again, type them into your questions pane, and I will take the time to answer all of them at the end. So the first thing I want to show you is my little diagram here. And, you know, usually I focus on internet marketing. That has been the way LTC Expert Publications has evolved since 2008. This is the way, I used to talk about everything all the time, and so then we kind of narrowed our focus to the internet because that is where we can make the most difference the fastest, in my opinion. But everybody's going to have a different marketing budget and a different tolerance for what they can do and not do. So we're going to talk today a little bit about networking, a little bit about internet, and a lot about print, radio, and TV. Just to give you sort of the overview of the cost versus the benefits of each one of these things and how they all work. And then my advice to you on some tips and strategies that have worked over time. I also have some formulas for you. And I also, just to let you guys know, not only are we recording this, you can watch it as a video, but also I will send Linda the PDF version of this presentation so that you guys can have the presentation too. And she'll put that up on your Companion Connection website. Okay, so let's talk networking for just a minute. You have marketing dollars in a big bucket. You have 100% of your marketing dollars in one big bucket, and you have to decide how to use them most appropriately. And this is kind of my advice on how to do that. When you're a new home care agency, the best way to generate leads and referrals the fastest in your community is to get up and get out. So be out there doing your professional networking, your in-person networking, your seminars, your senior fairs. You have to be beating the street when you're a new business and make sure you're looking people in the eye and shaking hands. That will never go away. It's either you doing it or it's someone in your office doing it. So you need to make sure that you have networking covered. In my opinion, if you want to get started with networking, the fastest way is to make sure that on the online side you have a LinkedIn account set up that is extremely full of all your good information. And then on the offline side, meaning in person, you're making connections on LinkedIn and you're following that up with a cup of coffee, a breakfast, a lunch, a networking event, and you're reaching out to those people in person as well. So to me, 40% of your time, especially when you're a startup, is probably going to be devoted to networking. This is just regarding marketing. This doesn't take into consideration all the other hats that you have to wear. So I know that time is of the essence. You also have to do payroll and staffing and follow up on 10,000 other things and your licenses. And I know it's hard, but this is just the marketing piece. So networking is a huge part of what you need to be doing. And then also, in my opinion, if I started a home care business today, if it were me, and I say this because I come from now a background, I'm a registered nurse by trade, but I come from a background, and by the way, I'm not sure if I introduced myself. I think I did. I'm Valerie Van Boeven. I'm a registered nurse, and I've been doing this kind of business and marketing of home care agencies since 2008 and even before that. But just so you know, if I were starting a business today in the healthcare industry, a home care agency, my focus would be internet marketing and networking. Those are the two things that I would absolutely do. For some of you, internet's too overwhelming, or you've already got that taken care of, you feel like, or whatever the case. But internet, the whole kit and caboodle that you see there, would be taken. I would take that into consideration, and I would absolutely hit that as hard as I possibly could to make sure my internet presence was absolutely stellar. There's nothing else I would focus on until my internet presence was up there. But you also need some quick turnaround, and you need your phone to ring fast. And internet, believe it or not, doesn't always make that happen, especially if you're new. So networking can make the phone ring faster. And I'm going to talk about that little blue box at the bottom in just a minute called Fix Your Follow-Up Failure. I'll talk about that when I get done here. Internet is not always a short-term solution, although if you have money or a budget for Google AdWords or Facebook advertising, you might get some leads that way very quickly. Print, radio, and TV are your other options. So we are going to talk about each one of those individually just a little bit. I'm going to tell you the do's, the don'ts, the budget, and what works and what doesn't work, because you never know if you should trust that radio sales guy or that cable TV ad sales guy or that print sales guy. I'm going to tell you what really works. So we'll talk about all of this stuff. So the first thing I like to tell everybody is that your message to market to media must match. And that means that the message you're sending has to go to the right market and has to go through the right media. And all of the things that have to do with your message, your market, and your media have to match. And that sounds a little bit confusing, but as we go through here, it'll become a little bit clearer as to what I mean. Your market. The biggest mistake a senior service provider makes when marketing, the biggest mistake they make is marketing to the wrong folks. And I know that this is a senior service business, but the reality is that the seniors are not going to pick up the phone and say, hey, guess what? I shouldn't be living alone. Could you send somebody over to help? Most of the time that's not happening. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't happen. It certainly does. And certainly we have seniors calling to inquire about home care for themselves or for their spouse all the time. However, typically speaking, that's not your target market. Your real target audience is who? It's the adult children of aging parents. And the question is, and if you knew the answer to this, you would be a millionaire today. How do you find the adult children of aging parents who are struggling right now. How do you know who those people are? How do you find those caregivers? You cannot buy a list. So if you're talking about print, you can't buy a list and send out a postcard to just the adult children of aging parents or just the adult children of aging parents who are struggling right now with an elder care situation. You don't know who those people are. You can't possibly know. So that's the real conundrum here is, where do you find all these people and how do you find them? So we're going to talk about some of that and how to reach out to them in different ways. And then you need to think about what your message is. And this is where I really hope that you all take some time to think about this. I see some home care agencies doing it and some not. Is your message, and don't think of this as, I know you're proud of your home care agency, you love what you do, you're very excited and impassioned about it, and that's all awesome. Think about this from the consumer's perspective, though, someone who's not excited about your business. In fact, someone who's afraid of your business because they really don't want to have to make that phone call. Think about it from that perspective. And then think about your message. Is your message the same as every other in-home care provider, every other elder law attorney, financial planner, adult daycare, assisted living facility, or DME provider? Is it the same? Are you saying that you treat your, I mean, just think about it this way. What are some of the phrases that you see all the time in home care advertising? We treat our clients like family. We provide quality care. That's called a platitude. And if you don't know what a platitude means that you are what you are stating is already a given. So if you say, ABC Home Care, we provide quality in-home care for seniors. Oh, really? If you can say that at the end of that sentence, then that's a platitude. So in other words, why would you not provide quality care? Are you not providing quality care? Are the other agencies not providing quality care? Why are you saying you provide quality care? What is quality care? It's just kind of not a good tagline, I guess. So what is your message, and does it stand out from all of the other messages that are out there bombarding your consumers over and over again? So what you want to do is lose the platitudes. Go with something a little bit different, a little bit unique, something that stands out from the crowd that is not the same thing over and over and over again. And if you can stand out just a little bit by something that you offer or by the way that you present your business and your message, then you will win you'll win over the competition. So if you want to see what a platitude is, look at the print yellow pages. Now, to be honest with you, the print yellow pages are becoming a dinosaur. They are not going to be, that's probably not the best place to spend your dough right now. Unless you live in a community that is all seniors and they're not going to get online and they're always going to look at the print yellow pages, it really is a better idea to make sure, at the very least, that you have your business listings accurate on the internet, because the yellow pages are not a place that you would want to spend $10,000 a year, or some people spend huge amounts of money on yellow pages ads, and I just don't think that would be a good place to spend your marketing dollars anymore. And I've been saying that for a long time. So now I'm going to talk about a formula. And you don't have to write this down because you can download the presentation or watch the video later. The essential elements of your message, when you decide what your message is, what you're going to say about your business to prospects, there's an element to your message. There's this formula that I like to use. And it's IF plus E plus E plus O equals new clients equals dollars in your pocket. So let's talk about what that is. When you're talking about print media, you're talking about putting together a flyer, a brochure, you're talking about a newspaper ad, any of those things in print, you want to make sure your message does the following thing. You want to use a headline to interrupt their thought process. So if you are going to do a print ad, or even a radio ad, or even a TV ad, the first thing you have to do is cause an interruption. Now, if somebody's sitting there reading a newspaper, and they have it open and they're looking around at all of the different articles and they're looking and looking, they're kind of glossing over all the goofy ads that are out there. So you need to do something to interrupt their thought process. They're using all these brain waves that are kind of just, because they're just reading these articles and they really don't care what the ads are. You got to interrupt that, either with a little color or some kind of bold headline or something that's going to interrupt their thought process. Same goes with a radio or TV ad. You have to interrupt their thought process. Have you ever been, just kind of had the TV on in the background, and for me it would be I'd be folding laundry, or maybe I'm looking at my phone and answering somebody on Facebook, and then suddenly there's silence. And you know what happens? I look up. I look up at the TV because suddenly it's not making any sound anymore, and I'm wondering why. Well, that's a great technique, and that's not necessarily the one you want to use, but that's interrupting my thought process. And so it gets me to look at the TV screen. And I know you've all seen these commercials. For whatever reason, they will just be silent for the first couple of seconds or a few seconds of the commercial in order to get interrupt. Instead of making louder noises, they're just quiet. So that's interrupting my thought process. So you want to make sure that whatever media you choose, you're doing that. And then you want to do it with frequency. So in other words, when that newspaper ad salesperson tells you that running one ad just ain't going to do it, that you really need to run the ad for 6 weeks and you need to run it every Sunday and every Wednesday, they're not kidding. You have to do this with frequency in order to see results. It's a numbers game. When the radio salesperson tells you that you need to run your radio ad for 13 weeks during a certain day part, which means either morning drive, afternoon drive, during the day, lunch hour, whatever, or nighttime, when he tells you that or she tells you that, she's saying that because it's about the frequency of the ad that runs, and that is what will determine results. You cannot run a radio ad for 1 week and expect it to change your life. It's just not going to. So it may make the phone ring faster, but it's not going to change your life if you only let it run for 1 week. You have to run it with frequency. So that is not a lie. No matter what whether you believe your salespeople or not, frequency is what human beings need in order to be able to engage, which is the next piece. You need to engage with them and they need to engage with you. So you're interrupting their thought process either with a headline or with some statement or some message. You're doing that with frequency, and the next piece of your message needs to be engaging. You need to say something that's going to keep them looking at your ad, reading your ad, or listening to your ad on the radio or watching your ad on the TV. You have to engage them with some kind of message that is going to keep them there. And then you need to educate very briefly. And all this happens very fast. This isn't something that you have to, write a dissertation about. I'm doing it slowly because we're going step by step here. Then you have to educate. Tell them why this is important. And then you have to make an offer. And we're going to talk about what good offers are in just a second. And if you get this formula right, you will find new clients and have more money in your pocket. And when I talk about this from a radio, TV, or print perspective, all of these things still have to match for any of those types of advertising. And for the Internet, it is the same. You have to interrupt their thought process. You have to do it with frequency. You have to engage them, educate them, and make them an offer. And now we're going to go on to the next slide. So what media promotes your message to your market most effectively, and do you follow the path that everyone else follows, or do you really know how to reach your intended audience? So here are the different kinds of print: postcards, newspaper ads, flyers, event announcements, press releases, yellow pages. I put a question mark there. I'm not a believer in the yellow pages at all. Save your money. Postcards. Again, you don't know who your target market is. I mean, you can't buy a list. You know who your target market is, but you can't buy a list of names and addresses of people who have elder care issues and are adult children of aging parents. Therefore, postcards are kind of a crapshoot unless you have a list of folks that you've already engaged with or you already know. So postcards are an option. Newspaper ads might be a better option. You need to make sure they meet certain criteria. You can do a black and white newspaper ad, but boy, it sure will attract more attention if it has a dashed line around it, meaning it looks sort of like a coupon. Boy, oh boy, you'll attract more attention. And if I had to choose, I would put my newspaper ad, and if this is the only way, because I probably wouldn't choose newspaper first, but if this is what I was going to do, I would not do a local senior publication that is free at the supermarket. That would not be my first choice, or even a subscription senior ad. That is not going to be where I would put my ad. I would put my ad in a suburban or urban newspaper. I would never, ever, ever choose the sports section. No sports. Men are not going to pick up the phone and make this call. It will always be the women, almost always be the women. So do not pick the sports section. Pick the obituaries, because that, if you can get one near the obituaries or in the section or lifestyle section or section near the obituaries, that is where you want to be. Flyers. You can do flyers, and those are best for events, of course, or handouts or leave-behinds if you're visiting referral sources, or if you're attending an event and you want to give some out to some folks that might, be a good referral source or consumers at an event. That's when flyers come in. Of course, if you have a brochure, that's great. Event announcements. Anytime you can get an event announcement out there, that is awesome. You want to make sure that you're sending out even invitations to events, that they can just do a simple little invitation, even if it's just a senior fair. You may have a list of people that are referral sources, or perhaps adult children of aging parents, or leads that didn't close in your database. And if you do, and you know you're going to be at the next senior fair, why not send them a little invitation? It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be just a sheet of paper and an envelope, a trifold, talking about the event, what's happening, what your booth number is, and that you hope they'll come by and see you. Press releases. We don't do enough of this. Some people are press released to death, but here's my I guess, opinion on press releases. If you hire a key staff member, if you have a caregiver of the month, a caregiver of the week, if you're going to attend the senior fair, if you're going to sponsor an event, if you're going to be in the Alzheimer's Walk this fall, or the Cancer Walk, or whatever it is you're going to do, if you're going to hand out candy somewhere, whatever it is, if you're going to do it, press release it. If you're going to buy a new copy machine for the office, do not press release it. So anything that you're going to do that involves your community or someone in your office that is a pretty nice, big, positive event, a new hire of a key position, those kinds of things, you want to make sure you do a press release. Now, what do you do with the press release? So what? You can type one up all day long. Well, you fax it here and you fax it there, and you go online to your local news stations or your local paper. Usually they will put a press release online on their online version. Unless it's extremely newsworthy, it's not going to get a whole lot of attention. So I would absolutely submit it online to as many free press release sites, or paid if you want to spend the money, press release sites. But I definitely would get it out there to your local media. The Patch, if you have a Patch near you, of thepatch.com, that is kind of a local little community online thing. There's all kinds of local community online websites you can submit press releases to. Again, Yellow Pages, I'm not a fan. You might be, and that's okay. But I think that your money is better spent elsewhere. Radio, this is one of my favorites. AM, FM, live testimonials, recorded. This depends on your market. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. We are a top 20 marketplace for media. So we're in the top 20, but we certainly are not in the top 10. So we're probably number 20. So that means size-wise. So that means here in St. Louis we have several radio stations that are AM talk. We have a couple that are FM talk, but pretty much just one that sticks out as the biggest FM talk station. Here it's a conservative talk station. Everything else is on AM as far as the talk part goes, except for maybe one sports thing. Don't do sports. So here is my recommendation. If you have, and it could be even a music station, but it needs to be one that is geared toward Gen Xers, sandwich generation, baby boomer types, not your radio station that's playing the latest from Katy Perry. So, so what you need to do is make sure that you investigate live testimonials, because I will tell you that live testimonials will make your phone ring faster than recorded. What does that mean? That means that there might be a local DJ or a local on-air personality, as they like to be called, that really is a hit with everybody. Maybe somebody that's kind of just, everybody's known them for years and years, and everybody really likes them. Find out what their rates are. If they'll do live testimonials, which most of them do, it's a higher price than having a 30 or 60-second recorded radio ad. But if you can get an endorsement, a live endorsement every day for 13 weeks, or even a couple times a week for 13 weeks, of a beloved on-air personality in your area, male or female, doesn't seem to matter, then, and during drive time is really perfect. Drive time is where it's at, folks. So either morning or afternoon, preferably afternoon, and I'll tell you why. That will sell and make your phone ring faster than anything else. So when should you run your ads? If you're going to bother to do this, you need to bother to do it right. So let's say you're going to do some live testimonials, and Jane Doe on-air personality has had an elder care experience in her life. She understands your message. She understands what you're trying to do, and she is willing to do your live testimonials every day during her show from 3 to 7 p.m. drive time, which is rush hour in your metropolitan area. Let's say she's willing to do that. And it may cost quite a bit. I have no idea. Here we're talking $300 every time the on-air personality opens their mouth. So you may only be able to afford to do it 3 days a week. But let's say, or maybe less than that. Depends, you know, your rates could be $100 every time they open their mouth. We're talking a #1 drive time station in a top 20 markets, probably going to be $300 or more for a live testimonial in drive time. Okay, so let's say you do that. That would be on the way home, drive time, everybody's tired, they're listening to the radio, they're trying to get home, they've had 15 calls from, maybe it's a guy, and they've had 15 calls from their wife today about how her mother is just not doing well, she's over at mom's, or maybe, you know, maybe it's the female driving home, and she knows that as soon as she gets home, she has to get her husband together to get the kids over to soccer, and she needs to go over to her mother's or his mother's house and get that person ready for, you know, dinner or bed or whatever it is, and it's going to be still a long day, even though the work day has ended. When they hear a live testimonial, a lot of times, and this has been my personal experience and professional experience, that person sitting in that car in that rush hour traffic will dial that phone number right then and there and say, I hope you can help me because I can't take it anymore. So if I had to choose a radio format, it would be a talk radio station, AM or FM, just depends on your area, where the talk radio stations are located. I would not do Sirius. I would not do a subscription-based radio station. I would always do a local free radio station. I would do live testimonials by a beloved on-air personality in my local area, and I would do them during drive time on the way home. That is my recommendation. So, having said that, and also remember, folks, if you do have questions, you can type them in to your discussion panel or your dashboard there. You don't have to wait for me to end the session to ask questions. I'll just answer them, though, at the end. Okay, TV, same thing. Local cable, 30-second billboards, etc. Okay, so if I were to do this for a TV ad, I would do on my local station. I would do it during the evening news, maybe the noon hour, probably morning or evening news and noon hour would be my top 3 choices. During the middle of the day, you're not going to get a lot of phone calls from TV because it's the seniors that are at home, not the working adults. So you got to catch the working adults when they are at the house if you're going to do TV. If you're going to pick cable and do, or if you're going to do local, you can do your local NBC, ABC affiliates and all of that. But you have to remember that if it is an election year, which it is not right now, but if it is an election year, those rates are going to be skyrocketing because guess what? All of the people running for office are going to have ads, so you're going to have to make sure that you're, if you're going to do TV, do it during a time when it is not an election year. Cable. Usually your cable provider can divide up your ads by area. So if you want to do the north side of town or certain zip codes, usually if you want to run an ad on the lifestyle channel, they can do that only in certain areas. So you need to check with your cable provider. If you're going to use cable, it's okay to advertise on channels that you think women might watch or news channels or whatever, but you have to make sure you're not using a sports channel. No ESPN and no golf channel. Even though seniors may watch those or they're male-oriented, you're not going to get any phone calls from the golf channel. TV, you can do 30 or 60-second spots. You're probably going to get more 30-second spots, and some TV stations will let you do billboards, which is a 5-second ad. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it. All of a sudden, something just pops up on the screen. There's one sentence, and then it's off. And you can do lots of little billboards everywhere. That is not a good way to get your message out, but it's certainly cheaper than a 30-second ad, so something to consider. Internet, we'll get to that. We've talked about that. I talk about that all day long. Word of mouth, that's your networking. And, of course, seminars and senior fairs, which is another way to network, but it is also another advertising venue. So these are the ways my recommendations for how to get the phone to ring. So what makes a great print ad? And this applies to newspaper ads, postcard mailers, yellow pages ads, flyers, and seminar invitations. I've already talked about this, so I'm just going to go over it quickly. You want to interrupt with a great headline. You want to run the ad with frequency. You want to engage them with great copy, meaning great words, a great message. You want to educate them with more great copy. You want to have some kind of free offer. And the result is trust, credibility, and new clients. If I were going to run a newspaper ad for whatever reason, I would probably put a client testimonial in that ad if I had room for it. That would be a big trust builder. Your headline and your offer. Let's talk about those for a second. Your headline needs to be compelling, attention-grabbing, outside-of-the-box thinking, feel it in your stomach kind of a headline. So maybe it is a piece of a testimonial. You saved our lives. We don't know where we'd be without you. Something like that. Keeps the reader reading. And then the free offer. The free offer. These are the two pieces that make the phone ring usually. The headline gets them to open their eyes and open their mind, and the free offer is the offer at the end. And I would recommend not using a free consultation because that's old and boring, although people do that all the time, free in-home consultation. That's sort of a platitude these days with home care. Of course you're going to do a free in-home consultation. So think of something else. I might be able to give you some tips on that here in a second. And that but the free offer, being a good free offer, not just a free consultation, gets the prospect to pick up the phone. So that's what you want them to do. So what kind of marketing ideas exist for senior service providers? I call this, well, when I wrote this presentation originally, I called it established credibility marketing. That's a pretty good, pretty long, pretty big name. But I also call it the circle of trust marketing. Prove to a senior or a family member that they would be absolutely crazy to do business with anyone but you. And you know how you really do that? Is with tons and tons of testimonials. If you haven't started gathering testimonials, you need to start right now. You need to start yesterday because that stuff in all of your print material and all of your ads is amazing. Testimonials. So anyway. You need to provide information that is accurate, easily accessible, readily offered, and educational. So when you are establishing your credibility in your marketplace or you're creating that circle of trust about your business, then you need to provide that information that's easily offered, easily accessible, and educational, which will prove to a senior or a family member that they would be absolutely crazy to do business with anyone but you. So the free offer should be AAOE. It should be accurate, easily accessible, readily offered, and educational. So here are some forms of AAOE free information. A written free report. Now, a customized free report. I'm going to talk to you about these in just a second. A free audio CD, a free teleseminar, a free seminar in person, a free booklet, a free ebook, a free newsletter or e-zine, a blog, a membership website, a Vial of Life, or some combination of all of these. Now, you can probably think of some more stuff, but let's talk about a free written report or a customized free report. I'm not going to go to the internet right now, but I'm going to tell you that we've created some free reports for folks. One of the last ones I created, you could probably Google this if you have a pen and you want to write it down real quick, is how to afford elder care services in the state of Indiana, or how to pay for elder care services in the state of Indiana by Julie Sullivan. Julie Sullivan. You can look that up online. That's on her website. The website is ineedgreatcare.com. ineedgreatcare.com, just like it sounds. Okay, so that is a good free written report or customized report. And the reason it's good is because it is accurate, it is educational, and it is the biggest thing on the minds of consumers who are looking for more information. So a free report doesn't mean 10 top reasons to hire home care. That could be part of it, but you got to hit them where it hurts. I mean, their pocketbook is what they're worried about. Number one, they're worried about the health and welfare of their senior adult. But if nobody can pay for it because they can't afford it or they don't know how to afford it, then it really doesn't matter how concerned they are. They're going to have to pick it up and do it themselves unless they can hire somebody, right? So a free report on how to afford home care would be really awesome. Free audio CD, radio show CD, video, or DVD. These are still things that work. Not so much the DVDs anymore. I wouldn't do that. But free audio CD, radio show CD, those things they can pop in their CD player when they're in their car and listen to it, like if they're on their way home from a senior fair, or you might hand it to them as you walk out the door from an appointment, or whatever the case. And what is on that? Well, let's say you're interviewed. You're lucky enough to be interviewed on a radio station. About your services or about an event that you're participating in. You want to make sure you ask the producer for an MP3 of that show or that segment of that show. You don't want the whole show. You just want your 5 minutes or your 10 minutes or whatever you got. So you want to make sure you get that and you keep it and you have permission to duplicate it. And you want to you can send it off to a duplicator or just email the MP3 to a duplicator, and they will put them on CDs and they will burn them and customize your and burn your name on them, or you can do it yourself in your office if you don't want somebody else to do it. And then you can hand those out. A free teleseminar. Now we're on the line here doing a webinar that, as far as I know, is free. So what's to say that if you wanted to, you could get kind of good at this, put a little PowerPoint presentation together, and do a webinar for the people in your local area in an evening when everybody's off work about the top ways to pay for senior care, or some series. Maybe it's caregiver stress, or maybe it's I don't know, how to hire a live-in home helper. I don't know, whatever it is. You could do a series of free webinars, record them, and put them on your YouTube channel. Free seminar. You can team up with a few other people that are also in the senior service industry in your area but are not your direct competitors, and you can hold a little seminar at an assisted living facility in their one of their big rooms, or you could do it somewhere else, independent living, or you could rent a little hall or something and do it. You can do seminars anytime. A free booklet. Same thing as sort of the free written report. You can make it in print or you can make it online into an ebook. Free newsletter or e-zine, that's really not the greatest giveaway of all time, but it certainly does help. Newsletters, not in print necessarily. You could do them both ways. I know there are some folks who will never get online and don't check their email, but a free e-newsletter, it's not that that's really exciting, but what happens is that corrects your follow-up failure problems, and you all have it. You just don't know it yet. If you have a free newsletter that's written for you that is going out every single month without fail, and you don't have to think about it, you just have to add your contacts' email addresses to the list, That is amazing and awesome, and you should be doing that. Because what I see when we do that for our clients is that every month when that newsletter goes out, they get at least 10 or 15 people responding to the newsletter. I meant to call you last week. We just got busy, or I meant to do this, or so glad you emailed me. My mother needs something, blah, blah, blah. So it stirs their brain and makes them think, oh, that's right. I meant to get back to those people, and here I'm going to do it right now. So that newsletter really does help. A blog. You should have a blog. You should have a website, and you should have a blog. And you should have blogs written. A blog is a weblog. And you should have content, fresh, unique, not copied, content on that blog every single week without fail. If you're not doing that, you need to start doing that. A membership website. Now, this is kind of tricky because we're in the touchy-feely business here, but if you, I don't know if membership is exactly the right word, but if you do have a family caregiver portal or a family training portal that has videos on it, I know there are services out there that will sell caregiver training videos to you that you can give your clients access to. So there's all kinds of ways to do that, but you may want to have some kind of portal that people can go in and get extra information, caregiver stuff, or maybe it's a private place, a HIPAA-compliant place where they can get information on their loved one. Whatever it is, that might be something good to do. The Vial of Life, always an awesome idea, always a good thing to give out at senior fairs, always a good idea to give it out to people who you visit with. And you can go look up Vial of Life on the internet, and there's all kinds of directions, and this is something that you can create and duplicate. It's not copyrighted by any one person, and it is something that you can put your stickers on, you can put your business cards in with. You can do all kinds of things, and people will remember that you gave them that Vial of Life. And you can do some combination of all of these, of course. So just my recommendations. So you ready for the big numbers? Let's talk about numbers. Let's talk about radio advertising. And this is a recommendation. Now, everybody's area is going to be different. This is not necessarily what it costs in your area. You should budget around $1,750 for creative development plus $3,000 to $6,000 per week over a 3 to 4 week test period for the initial media test. Okay, so did you get that? You want to spend a whole bunch of money to test and see if it's going to work. And some people will tell you, and of course if we're all startups we're not going to commit to this, but some folks will tell you that you need to commit to a $20,000 media test. If the test media delivers revenues at or above your break-even profitability level, then you've gained significant learning at essentially zero cost. This is true, but I don't think that everybody needs to spend $20,000 on a media test. You may think you may need to just spend $1,000 on a media test. It really depends on where you are. If you're in New York City, you're looking at $20,000 or more. If you're in West Winnemucca, Nevada, you're looking at $1,000. If the test delivers revenues at just 75% of your break-even profitability, then for less than $6,000, you still gain significant learning about how to leverage direct response radio as a profitable venture for your business, gaining invaluable insights about how to build a direct response radio advertising campaign that takes full advantage of the opportunity. I don't want to lose $6,000, but if you have that kind of dough and you're in a big market, this might not be such a big loss. Okay, let's talk TV advertising. Most small to medium-sized business owners find that local advertising fits better with their budgets and marketing goals. A 30-second time slot in a medium-sized market can be purchased for as little as $5 per 1,000 viewers, meaning that you could easily expect to pay less than $100 per commercial slot. Even cheaper rates may be available for off-hour programming. That's true if it's not an election year and it's not during prime time. Prime time is not going to get you $100 probably. Okay, so let's say production cost for a TV ad, and sometimes they throw this in if you buy a big program, so you may not have to pay for the production costs, but sometimes you do. $500 to $2,500 for local spots. The daily cost for local ads that are 30 seconds each, so if you did one time a day, that would be $100 one time a day, then you're looking at $3,000 per month on the low end. On the high end, you're looking at $12,000 per month. Now, You may not run your ad every single day if you have budget issues, or you may be able to run them at night. But again, if you really want the biggest bang for your buck, you need to run them when people are watching TV. Some people will say to you, well, you know, folks who are having trouble are up in the middle of the night watching TV because they can't sleep. And that may be true, but that's not the true for the majority of people that you need to reach. So think about what you want to do as far as TV advertising. Whoops. Total low-end cost per month may be around $3,500 per month. And you can compare that to other things like your radio, or which would probably actually in most markets could be less than that if you played your cards right, depending on what kind of radio spot you ran. And it's definitely way more than internet marketing. And it's definitely way more than networking. Okay, internet marketing, so website and social media setup and monthly management. You're looking at around $350 to $750 per month for good internet marketing, which means blog posting, Google Places, social media, video, backlinking, bookmarking, and search engine optimizing. All of that, definitely $350 to $750 per month. That would be the right price range. Depends on what you want and how often you want it. So let's look at all the monthly costs. Print's all over the board. You may spend anywhere from $250 a month to $3,000 per month for your printing costs. Radio can be anywhere from $1,200 to $6,000 per month and up, and TV can be anywhere from $3,000 to $12,000 per month and up. Internet's typically $350 to $750 per month. So those are really your monthly costs, somewhere in there. It's a big range, but it really depends on your marketplace. Okay, so question and answers. You can email me at valerie@ltcep.com if you'd like. We can help you understand more about what's right, what's wrong, and how you can get more quality leads if you need us to do that. If you don't, that's okay. You may just have a general question. And our telephone number is 888-404-1513. So let's go back here for a second. We'll go back to this. Now, when it comes to generating immediate leads, the networking and the radio and the TV are probably going to be your best immediate lead generator. Print probably will too, but of course you have to mail stuff if you're going to do a big mailer. Internet takes a little time depending on how old your website is or how new it is and how where it shows up on the search engines. So having said all of that, your fastest lead generation is always probably going to be networking, radio, or TV. And that will generate you the most leads. But they are also, two of them are the most expensive. Networking is not the most expensive, but there's no guarantee on how fast that's going to generate a lead. So having said all of that, I will answer any questions that you might have about lead generation in the home care market. If you want to type in your questions, I did not talk about buying leads. There are services out there that will allow you to purchase leads, and I did not talk about that, but if anybody has questions about it, I can answer those too. So ask your questions by typing in the little questions box, and I am going to answer them. Let's see here. Let's get this moved out of the, here we go. Ding. I got to open this up a little bit. Okay. The first question I have here is, what if you're new with no clients? How do you establish your credibility with prospects? Well, Larry, I would recommend that you start writing or have stuff written for you. So here's the deal. If you don't have any clients, but you need to establish a circle of trust, you need to, if I were going this route and I knew that I had no clients, I would make sure that everywhere they looked online, they found my name in my local area. I would write articles, I would write ebooks, and you know, you can have the stuff written for you if you know how to do that. But I would make sure that I had information out there written with that was credible, that was good, with my name on it, that I could either hand to a person and say, here, look, I wrote the book on this. And you don't really have to write a whole book. But that I had written or that they could find with my name on it. If I said Google my name, they would be able to find tons of information out there that I had written about elder care and senior care. You can't make up the fact that for the fact that you don't have any clients, but on the other hand, you can make up some of the credibility by being an established author online, by having contributed to some things, by getting involved in community organizations like the Alzheimer's Association, getting some certifications that aren't very costly. Those are the kinds of things that you can do. So let's talk about other ways that you can establish your credibility. Without establishing credibility, how do you get some clients? If your web presence is awesome, well, here's the thing. You can either run some radio ads, you can run some TV ads, if you have that kind of dough. If you don't, you can run some Google AdWords if you want, which is pay-per-click advertising. You have to know what you're doing, folks, and that is not an immediate gratification issue anymore. Google AdWords has changed a lot since it first started, so I'll get to that in just a second because I see some questions about it. But you cannot rely on it for an instant gratification, and you have to have some budget. And just like with radio or TV, you should expect to run an ad campaign for more than, doing it for a week just ain't going to get it. Okay, so the next question is, we tried web advertising with PPC and SEO for 10 months at $400 per month, and I got 1 lead. I can't justify the ROI, and now I'm gun-shy. Where do I go from here? Mark, I completely understand because this is the business that I'm in. And here's the thing. I don't know who you did your advertising with. I don't know what your marketplace looks like. I don't know if you're in a big town or a little town. But I can tell you this, that when you engage in internet marketing, when you have your website created and you have blog posting and you have reach with Facebook and you have reaching out with LinkedIn, you actually have to participate in that in order to make it work. And you need to hire a company that understands home care and the client that you're trying to, the clients that you're trying to reach out to, or the people that you're trying, your market. If you go with your local SEO dude who is from your Chamber of Commerce, and he also does plumbers and roofers, it's probably not going to be your best bet. He has no idea the challenges and the overwhelm that your potential clients are faced with. So in the home care market, I can't express this to everyone enough. Home care is not the same business as the plumber and the roofer and the car salesman and the auto mechanic. Choosing a company to manage your internet that is not based in healthcare and home care could be a bad decision. It's not to say that some of them don't do it right, but you will get burned just like a couple of folks on here have. And I'm not saying that something we do is much more magical. I just think we know that the messages are different. So when you say $400 per month, I don't know what your marketplace is like, but to be honest with you, $400 per month with pay-per-click is a very low budget. And search engine optimization is more about adding content to your website every month than it is about pay-per-click. So if I had a website and I never added a word to it after the day it was built, it's not doing me any favors. So you have to work on your organic marketing online. You have to add content. You have to do it. There's no way around it in this marketplace. There's no way around it. Every week you need to have a new article on your website. If you don't, you are wasting your time and your money. So $400 a month is okay. It's a low-end budget for PPC. And I don't know what your marketplace looks like, but and also, if they weren't using the right keyword phrases, or they were using keyword phrases, Mark, that were getting you all job leads or job seekers and not people who need help, and then they didn't know what they were doing with regards to home care. You can't turn off all the job seekers, but if you have a PPC campaign that is geared toward the prospect and not the job seeker, and there's a huge difference in that, then you will get more than one lead, no doubt. Okay, could changing my web host impact where I show up on Google Places? I'm on page 1 now, thanks. Your web host shouldn't change anything. Your website address would change things. So if you're changing from HostGator to GoDaddy, that doesn't mean anything to Google. But if you are changing abchomecare.com to abchomecare1.com, then you are definitely going to see some differences. Come on, folks. I know you have questions about advertising, print, radio, TV, internet. Tell me what your questions are, and I'll be happy to answer them. We have a few minutes left, and I'm here to answer your questions now. You can type them in because this is all I have, and if this is all I have, then we'll have to call it a day. Okay. Anybody else? Last call. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So if you guys need help, you can contact me at Valerie@ltcep.com or call us at 888-404-1513. My business partner is George Novison, and he may be the person that actually gets back to you as opposed to me. But be sure to see us online at ltcsocialmark.com. It's ltcsocialmark.com. All right, thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. I'll be sending out all the information to Linda. She'll get it put up on your internet, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks all. Bye-bye.